Welcome to the show. It's UAP Troop 33. I'm John, I'm your host. I got a wild one for you today, man. And listen, Chris Bledsoe, man, I just can't say enough about that guy. So I posted something the other day about the Azalea Festival, and he had like 200 witnesses or 150 plus witnesses, and like he always does, the orbs and the UAP showed up and everybody was clapping, cheering. I posted footage of it. I may post a little bit of footage of it again here today. And so I had posted that video, and within like an hour or two after that, and I heard about this planet that they found with the James Webb Telescope, and apparently it's called K2-18b. It's located, dig this, in the constellation of Leo, near Regulus. And those of you that know about Chris Bledsoe, uh, let me rewind here. So Chris Bledsoe, he's an experiencer. He was on uh, Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, where they put wires all over his head, and he basically called these, I don't know, craft beings, whatever you want to call them, and they had footage of these orbs coming through the trees of the woods and the sky, and they did this for Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, the spinoff of Skinwalker Ranch. Anyway, it's funny because he made I guess, a prediction. And look, I stay away from these predictions. Anytime people start making predictions, especially when it comes to UAPs, I kind of, you know, I back off. I don't really get into that. But Chris Bledsoe, he made predictions that in 2026, around the time of Easter, that or when the star Regulus rises above in the sight line of the Sphinx, right? That there would be a new knowledge uh, upon the earth. In other words, we would all be aware of some kind of new knowledge, right? And some people have tried to backdoor him. He was on the Sean Ryan show, and Sean Ryan basically said, like, something about the second coming of Christ. And Chris Bledsoe didn't challenge that. So then people hopped on and started saying that Chris Bledsoe was predicting the second coming of Christ, which in my eyes was nothing more than a way to discredit him. And some of these podcasters and people like kind of like me, that get on here and just say things. I I feel that some of those people ain't really working in the best interest of the UAP UFO community. That they're basically here just to tamp down the curiosity, to act like they're following this subject, to act like they're covering this subject, when in all actuality, their whole job, in my opinion, is to discredit the whole subject. And that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I mean, once again, it's my opinion. Everybody, is has a right to their own opinion. If you don't agree with that opinion, that's fine, but that's just my opinion. And it's funny because these people, uh, these podcasters and, people that cover this, that are doing this, they tend to be the ones in the front when it comes to views, subscribers, and stuff like that. And it just makes you wonder, but that's my conspiracy theory minded uh ideas. I could be wrong, but I don't. But so he didn't predict the second coming of Christ. He just said that there would be a new knowledge on the earth. That in 2026, when the star Regulus rises above the Sphinx, there would just be a new knowledge, a new awareness. Right. So with that being said, I did a episode Chris Bledsoe at the Azalea Festival. Uh, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I mean, these orbs are getting like the size of the moon. Like they were like It was crazy. The people in the crowd were asking them, "Can you get brighter for me?" And boom, these things would just, they got they did. They responded, and I said, like, this is a psychic phenomenon. It has to do with the mind, consciousness. Um, excuse me. And and then I hear about this planet that the James Webb Telescope discovered. Has They're saying like 97%. They're 97% sure that this planet harbors life. Now that could mean anything. It doesn't necessarily mean it's life like complex organisms or intelligent life like us. This could mean just basic, small, simple forms of life. Either way, it's a pretty um, interesting find, if you ask me. So, so then I keep researching it, and I don't even know what made me check it, but the thing is in the constellation of Leo, and it's actually not far from Regulus. And this planet is 100. They say approximately 124 light years away from us. So it's pretty close. And it's just funny that uh, all these things are seemingly coming together slowly, And do I think that there's a connection? Possibly, but I think it's a pretty cool coincidence. And when you get into this subject, you start really researching this. And if you really seek it out and you go out and you skywatch and you meditate and you do these things, these crazy coincidences begin to happen in your life. At least they did for me. And I've never seen an alien face to face, never been abducted or nothing like that. But there's definitely a reason why I'm so locked in on this subject. And the fact that this planet, they say it's like 8.6 times the size of Earth, so it's a pretty big planet. Well, how do they know that there's life on it? How are they 97% sure of that? Well, I guess these telescopes, they're able to see not just the visible spectrum of light, but they also can detect different forms of gases, you know, and they're detecting carbon dioxide. And I guess that and some other indicators are indicating life. Pretty crazy. And but the funny thing is, so like back in, I don't know, was it 2011? I could be wrong, man. But the Vatican had came out, and if those of you that don't know, they actually have one of the largest Earth-based telescopes in the world. And they had came out and they said, look, if there's life outside of Earth, intelligent life besides human beings, that this doesn't harm faith. That yada yada yada. And I almost feel like that they've known about this planet for a while. They just weren't sure, like maybe they saw this planet years ago, and they didn't really want to come out and say this because then if the planet didn't have life, then so maybe they were all just keeping it close to the vest. Now with the James Webb, and it's pretty obvious. And it all coincides with 2017 and Lou Elizondo and New York Times and the whole story about ATIP and Christopher Mellon and all them coming out and saying that this phenomenon is real, that these things are here, that they may have been here all along, and it kind of coincides with all that. And people have said that this has been a desensitization, wow, that's crazy. A desensitization of, I still didn't get it right, of the public to get us desensitized to the idea of alien life. This way, when they show up or when the cat's really out of the bag, people aren't shocked and the world doesn't just go crazy and over the deep end. Um, and that this is a process it's a disclosure process that's been going on uh, for years now. you know, and that pretty soon we're gonna know. Some people are claiming, this could be Project Bluebeam. This is gonna be the fake alien invasion, that the government's gonna use to whatever, gain control in an authoritarian way of one world government, stuff like this. Do I believe that's I'm not going that far yet. I need more evidence for that. You know, um, but they are saying it's a threat. A lot of these people, these whistleblowers coming from the government are saying this is a threat. That this needs to be looked at. They're apparently there was like upwards of like between 17 and like 20 some UAPs over Langley. Or wait, no, that there was multiples of UAPs over Langley for 17 days, and that they had to move the F-22s out of Langley and relocate them somewhere else because these UAPs were um, just in the airspace above Langley Air Force Base, and that we couldn't shoot them down. And then the whole thing with Lake and Heath in the UK, they had shut down bases over there. This was during the drone incursions in New Jersey. They shut down Wright Pat Air Force Base, and all these things have been happening. Um, and then you got the guy that blew himself up in front of Trump Towers, and supposedly there was this manifesto saying that this was Chinese anti-gravitic technology, and I don't know about that. I don't know if I believe that. I'm sure that we have, um, ARVs, which is just that's a um, another term for alien reproduction vehicle, which is just human-made, back-engineered alien technology that we have. Yeah, I'm sure we have. Um, Trump's, I forget the guy. He was an aide to Trump, some kind of science guy for the administration, saying that we have technology that can manipulate time and space. And I was kind of suspicious of that already. Um, is that true? I don't know. I mean, I don't know why this guy would get up there and say it if it wasn't true. Maybe it's not like to the way that we think, like time machines and stuff like that. But maybe that there's uh, with these large hadron collider and the uh, the colliders that we have here, maybe these particle smashing things, maybe they're able to manipulate time and space on like a small uh, subatomic level. I don't know. I'm getting way outside my area of expertise. But I can't imagine it being like freaking time machines, right? If that was the case, you would think that we would be living in a utopia by now, right? Because they would be able to see all the future consequences of actions and be able to listen, whatever. But so that's the story. This K2-18b. I'm gonna post a little video. So there you go. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And I mean, look, 120 light years away. That's not. It's not like that's around the corner. That's we can't get there. But who's to say that there's not um, beings way more advanced than us that can get here? And that's basically the gist of this. And it just so happens that this thing is in the constellation of Leo near the star Regulus, and kind of coincides with some of the things that Chris Bledsoe has been saying. Not he didn't say that that these beings that he had experiences with were from there. Nothing like that. He just simply said that when that star rises above the Sphinx, uh, near the Easter of 2026, some people say that it's actually closer to the fall of 2026 that this star is supposed to rise into the sight line of the Sphinx. Or whatever, he made that claim back in 2012, 2013. And Chris Bledsoe's that dude, man. I mean, when it comes to this subject, Chris Bledsoe is probably the most credible, the most he has shown what he could do. that he's not just making claims and not backing it up. He makes claims, he backs them up, and, you know, that's my guy. Like, out of all the people out there, right, the Lou Elizondos, I really like David Grush too, but, Chris Bledsoe, one of the most humble, good people, all the things that he went through when, he first came out about um, his abduction experience, or experience. I don't even think he really looks at it as an abduction. Him and his son went through during a fishing trip. Um, he was ostracized from his church, his community. You know, he really went through a lot of BS, um, because he came out about his experiences, which was kind of, you know, screwed up. But that's the society we live in. You know, especially with this subject, you start talking about this type of thing, people either dismiss you or they attack. One of the Takes a lot of courage, man, to come out and start speaking about things like this. Um, it's just I don't care. I I don't give. I don't care. It is what it is. You know. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out what further developments we get about this planet. Look, I'm not saying that aliens, that they're coming here from this planet, and that's what the UAP phenomenon is. That's not what I'm saying. I just find it, it's just a wild little coincidence how they've been kind of desensitizing us. Wow, I actually got it right that time. Desensitized. So anyway, they're doing that to us now. Like I feel as like a preparation for some type of development. Um, we'll see, man. George Knapp and well, not George Knapp, but Jeremy Corbell. He had said that basically he is kind of propping up the claim that this Operation Blue Beam thing is legit. And for those of you who don't know, Blue Beam is where the government fakes an alien invasion to get control. One world government, authoritarian rule. I don't know if I believe that. I don't think so. I don't think they could, just for the fact that we're everybody's aware of. I mean, dude, if you're researching this subject, you hear about that operation. So I don't think that they could do it. But then again, who knows, man? I guess time will tell. So that's the video for today. Just wanted to talk about this new discovery from James Webb Telescope, K2-18b. So I guess we'll see what's up with it. Yeah, man. Regulus 2026, not far away, man. So those of you that haven't watched, go back, check out that Azalea Festival video with Chris Bledsoe and the UAPs and the whole 150 plus 200 witnesses. Awesome, dude. I wish I would have been there, man. Like one of these days, I got to get down there for one of these. They have multiple little. I think they have that festival. I don't know if there's another one that they do that I heard them talking about on Bledsoe Said So, but it's definitely it's on the bucket list, man. So, all right, it's been good. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. It's John C's Truth. Thanks for watching. Till tomorrow.